friends. Good morning, or whatever time it is, good day, whatever time it is, wherever in the world you are. I see a lot of you are already here. Thanks for waiting for me. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to say hi to a few people that I see here. I see Kathy, Marion, Lynn, Mickey, nice to see you. Aaron, so glad you guys are here. And for those of you who are here and have not commented in yet, I'm happy that you're here as well. If you happen to be watching in archive, we welcome you as well. This is being recorded live on March 8th. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's our first day here in the U.S. of Eastern Daylight Time. And we've got people here from all over the world. Celine from Paris, Kathy Jones, as well as Kathy Brew. Samantha the Card Girl is here. Aaron 92 is here. Glad you guys are all here. My good friend Marion is here in Scotland. What time is it where you are? Camilla's here. Glad you're here. All right. So first of all, given world events, let me say I hope you guys are all staying well. I hope everyone's doing okay, and I hope we are all staying positive and compassionate as we get through what is a difficult time for people in many places in the world. Martha, glad you're here. So I think it's interesting when I scheduled this, Making Friends with the Suit of Swords, I was really just thinking about what's a topic that we could cover. It's 2:31 p.m. where Kathy Brew is, afternoon in the UK from Kathy Jones. Yes, indeed. So I was really in 2:30 p.m. You nearly missed it. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Samantha, first live you've been able to watch, so glad you're here. So I'm doing these lives here on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, once a month. The next one will be Sunday, April 19th, and we're doing the incredible, versatile two-card spread. Hope to see you there for that. Barbara O'Brien, glad you're here. If you have not hit subscribe on this channel, please do, for goodness sake. And if you're over on Facebook, please ask to join my Global Tarot Circle group. Rogerio, nice to see you. Barbara O'Brien from right down the street, glad you're here. So, and 3:30, where Aaron is. Okay, very good. So when I chose this topic, I was really just looking for a topic that I thought people would enjoy that would, take me about an hour to get through. But now that the day is here, I feel like, what could be a better topic than to look at the suit of swords, which is the suit of science, the suit of truth, the suit of reality. I'm not here to talk politics, but I don't know if this is true where you are in the world, but we are really dealing with what they're calling a war against science. And, it's easy to say that war against science has been perpetuated by ultra-dogmatic religious people. Although, there's some finger pointing in our community as well. Those of us who embrace metaphysics to the exclusion of actual science. And the Suit of Swords really talks with us about how physics and metaphysics, science and psychism are not in any way mutually exclusive. Now, the title that I gave to this workshop, Making Friends with the Suit of Swords, it's interesting to note that I probably would not have given such a title to any of the other suits. Why is that? Well, it's because the Suit of Swords, if we look at weight or weight-based decks, the Suit of Swords contains, arguably some of the most gruesome images, right? Aaron says, yes, science and psychism should go hand in hand rather than excluding one another. Absolutely agreed, right? So my question to you, and if you wouldn't mind commenting in, my question to you is, so at this point, like, how do you feel about the Suit of Swords? A lot of new tarotists, and even some experienced tarotists, will often say, man, I hate those swords, I hate those swords. I am here to share with you how the Suit of Swords is incredibly helpful. Even those difficult swords cards, I gotta tell you, and I don't know what the ratio here. Disco Bunny says, I only like the Ace 2 and 4 of swords. Well, I am hoping by the time we're done, you'll be friends with all of them. But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. If you're reading for yourself, getting that 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords, 3 of Swords can be very difficult, especially in a predictive position. I will tell you, though, as a professional reader, and I think, Kristen in CT is Disco Bunny. So happy to see you. Hope to see you. I am still planning on coming to CT at the end of April. Assuming all goes well, I hope to see you then. Let's see what we got going on. Martha says, swords cut through the crap and tell us the truth. Heck yeah, absolutely. Camilla, the swords are revealing the truth and we need the truth. Right, and the truth hurts. The truth is hard, right? Mickey, they are part of life to understand challenges and decisions. Yes. Roses, I relate to the swords heavily. And the Page Princess is my fave. Yeah, I do love that card as well. Absolutely. All right. So, but we can see why. There can be some discomfort with these cards. The images are difficult. As a professional reader, I have to say, and this is, I don't mean this in a voyeuristic kind of way, but when I'm doing a reading for someone and those difficult swords cards come up, I kind of like it. And I like it because, okay, this is going to be a very clear reading, and it's going to be a great opportunity for healing. It's going to be a great opportunity for me to be able to work with someone to help them understand what's going on and help them feel better. So let's see what else we got going on. Erin says, the swords are the most likely to hit the heart of the problem in every reading. Right, exactly. And that's why, operationally, I love to see them, because as soon as I see them, my job gets easier. I'm sure you agree, Erin. Let's see. Hey, Conjure Knits, looking forward to seeing you at StarCon. Yes, thank you. Thank you for not making me be the one to first mention StarCon. For those of you who do not know, StarCon will be an international tarot convention, brand new, held in Palm Beach Gardens in January 21st through 24th, 2021. I'm sorry, 22nd through 24th. Yeah, 22nd through 24th, Friday through Sunday, 2021. We are assuming that the world health crisis will be, dealt with by then. I think we've got plenty of time. I know they're having a great time this weekend at Newt's in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to have a great time. We are welcoming people from all over the world. We'll be working with all aspects of divination, not just tarot, and I'll look forward to seeing you there. We should have our registration page up and running. Hopefully by the end of this week, there will be early bird specials, and you can get to the page and see how we're developing. It's starcon.com. Star is spelled with 2 A's, STAARCON. Marion said she had a dream about her flight to StarCon last night. Okay, what else are we seeing here? From Lynn, life isn't all fluffy bunnies and rainbows. Ozark Oracle, glad to see you. Marion, the swords are necessary to face the truth. Roses, and the Queen, she gets like a bad rap. Yes, she does, and we're going to talk about why that is. I promised I wouldn't get political, but I can't talk about the bad rap the Queen of Swords gets without bringing out some feminist theory. So we'll get there. And you've already done it. Well-behaved women rarely make history. Absolutely. Barbara says, When swords come up in a reading for me, it's clear why they're actually getting a reading and what they need help with. Yes, exactly. From Aaron, agree. I'm more able to read because there is little to no space to nuances, right? Absolutely. Okay, so if you haven't done it already and you've got your deck with you, pull out the suit of swords, put them in numeric order. Aaron also says it's a great way to jumpstart the conversation. As to me, tarot reading can be an open-hearted chat. Yes, absolutely. So, first of all, we do want to talk about a couple of things. Obviously, the perspective I'm coming from is a weight-based perspective. If you're a Marseille reader, if you're a Crowley reader, this may still be helpful, but it'll be a little different. And we also have to recognize that there is a whole tarot tradition that has the swords as fire and the wands as air. Now, I'm not really going to be dealing with that, but I did want to mention it because it is a legit tradition. One of my favorite tarot decks, Lisa Hunt's Celtic Dragon Tarot, does that. And I think that gives us a great opportunity to really look at the masculine elements, air and fire, and see that Venn diagram where they meet. What do air and fire, besides their masculine nature, what do they have in common? There is a certain amount of creativity in the air having to do with writing, having to do with inspiration, and there is a certain amount of thinking in the fire having to do with our creativity and how we have to employ the brain to motivate ourselves. And when we think about that, we have to recognize that all the elements are intertwined, and we see that so much in tarot. We recognize that typically, especially if we are weight-based, we will see the suit of swords as related to the element of air. And we see air as related to the powers of the mind: thinking, communication, integrity, curiosity, discovery, honesty, logic, science, technology, right? Here are your STEM cards right here. And I think that, it's interesting. We see it as, okay, it's the truth. But these cards evoke so much feeling in us. These cards evoke so much emotion in us. Now, we know that cups are the suit of emotion, but you can't tell me that you don't see emotion in this card. Here we see a broken heart. And, if we look at the other suits, there is certainly creativity in the Three of Pentacles, for example. There can certainly be commerce in the Nine of Cups. And so part of this is a lesson in recognizing that really all the elements are possible to show up in the suits. And yet, when we look at the suit, we do need to understand the suit based on its element. And we do need to understand each card based on its element and its number. Now, as we go through these cards, and one thing I would like you to share with me, I am using this giant deck today. It was given to me by a student. She thought it would be good for classes. It is great in in-person classes. My question to you is it good in video classes or is it distracting? Let me know. If you don't like it, I won't bring it out again. If you like it, you'll see it again. Oh, this is interesting from Roses. Swords, air, mental health cards. We cannot separate our mind and our heart. They create each other. Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Do people agree with that? Does that make sense to everyone? So, here's what I'd like to do. I would like to go through card by card, and I am going to share with you not only my thoughts on each card and how these cards work. Veronica likes the big cards. Okay, good. Good. And Barbara makes a good point. All the elements could not exist independently of each other. Marion, would we feel a broken heart if our brain or thoughts didn't tell us? And Kristen likes the big cards as well. So does Camilla. Okay. Rogerio does too. Okay. You're going to see these again. Very good. All right. Barbara likes them too. Thank you guys so much for that. So does Roses. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I want to go through. I want to look at each card. Aaron likes it. Kanja likes it. Easier to see the details of the card in the videos. Okay, that's what I was hoping for. Good, good. It's a card the size of my head. Good. Okay, very good. So we've got consensus on the big deck. Fabulous. All right, we're going to go through card by card. We're going to talk about the numerology. We're going to talk about how the element of air works for the card. We're also going to talk about the card from a reversed perspective. Now, I know not everyone honors reversals, and there's nothing that says you have to. And you guys have heard this talk from me before. You're going to hear it from me again. And in fact, this is an actual question to you. Would you like to see me do a workshop specifically on reversals, aspect, and dignity? That's something we could do as well. But I find in each one of these, I end up talking about reversals, aspect, and dignity. Is that enough? Does it need to be a whole workshop? Okay, so why will we be talking about reversals, aspect, and dignity? Because even if you don't honor reversals, you still honor dignity. There are times you will read the card in its most straightforward way. There are other times that you will see it in a delayed way, in an opposite, too much, too little, all of that, and we're getting yes, yes, yes. Okay, very good. So our next two workshops are going to be about spreads, and then the one after that, we'll do reversals then because we're getting a lot of love for that. Okay, very good. So. Oh, thank you, Roses. I appreciate that. All right. Marion says a lot of people are afraid of reverse cards, so there really is no reason to be. A lot of these swords cards, I'd rather see reversed, to be honest with you. Okay, so yeah, we will get that on the calendar. I think that'll be for June. We'll do we'll do reversals, aspects, and dignity. All right, you guys, let's start. So aces, of course, the number 1. And every ace is going to talk about a beginning, an origin, a source, an essence. And Aaron has something to say here about reversals. Even if it's not literally upside down, the meaning could shift regardless due to combinations and whatnot. Yes, yes, yes. Context can denote dignity. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So every ace is going to be a new beginning. It's going to ask you to go to the source. It's going to look at the origin of something. Ace of Swords can be a new truth. It can be the clear and original truth. What is that grain, that grain of truth that is in all things? The Ace of Swords can tell you to do the right thing. I love to think of the Ace of Swords archetypally as being Excalibur, the sword that made a king. Now, it can talk about discovering a new truth, figuring something out. It can tell you to speak your truth. When it is ill-dignified, either reversed or you feel that ill-dignity in some other way, it may talk about someone not speaking their truth. One thing I love about the Suit of Swords is it can help us know when someone is lying, right? Let me tell you a quick story. Some of you have probably already heard this story, but this is a quick story from my baby tarot reader days, having to do with the Ace of Swords. I was doing a reading for someone, a woman, and the Ace of Swords showed up in the relationship position, and it made me think right away that her husband was a very honest and just individual. Well, she laughed at me because nothing could be further from the truth. What was true was she had just discovered a new truth that he had been cheating on her. Good example of how the cards never lie, but the reader can be full of it. Point is, the Ace of Swords can be a truth revealed. It can tell you to reveal a truth. It can tell you that a truth has been revealed. It can speak to someone's honest character, but clearly not always. Okay, now let's move on to the 2. And I think it's interesting to remember that Aleister Crowley refers to the 2 of Swords as the card of peace. And I very often like to think about Crowley keywords, even when looking at weight cards, because I think they do work together. Now, what I love about this card is she's crossed off her heart chakra. This is about making decisions and dealing with things not in the emotional realm, but in the mental realm. So like this card comes up, how you feel about it doesn't really matter. And the blindfold, I really do not love it when people always automatically interpret the blindfold as, oh, she doesn't want to see the truth. That could be. But I often see it as, do not be influenced with what you see out here. Look within. For me, this is very much a card of looking within, absent of other people's opinions, and absent of the opinion of your own heart. I do feel a decision is needed here, but it may be that we cannot make that decision right away. It may be that we have to be at peace with waiting for the right answer. Now, Erin likes it. Okay, good. In its reversal, I feel like it could be a hard decision. You could be questioning the decision that you made. You could be really unclear about what you want to do. Erin says she's focused on something rather than what's outside. Yes, focusing inside. And, there are a few of these Swords cards that do ask us to look within, inquire within. And I think this is one of those cards. Now, the minor arcana suits all tell a story. And you can really start to see the story develop as you get to the 3rd card. Oh, here's something I think is true. I'm going to make a decision about it. Oh, dang. The decision I made did not work out well. Here we have the 3. Remember that 3, while 2s are a balance, a partnership, an either or, 3s are a product. What has been produced. And what has been produced here is sorrow, is heartache, betrayal. My favorite positive spin on this card is an opportunity to heal, an opportunity to grow. And when I see it reversed, I'm actually happy because I feel like the healing has already begun. The interesting thing, because of the way this is pictured, this card can sometimes speak about people who are having literal physical cardiac issues. Although it is not our job to make diagnoses, we are not doctors, we do see health issues. And sometimes you can get someone off to a doctor when they need to. Sometimes we can comment on someone's recovery. And although this is a very mental suit, this can sometimes, not always, but sometimes speak to a physical issue. But I think it's interesting because aren't, the cardiac issues, aren't they so often the result of stress, which is mental? Let's see, from Barbara, Swords, in 2 of Swords, Swords are very heavy and the decision is a heavy decision. Yeah, absolutely. Veronica, and the lessons learned are what help you finally move forward. So true, so true. Okay, so then we go from 3 to 4. And remember, while 3 is about a product, 4 is about something stable. It's a comfortable place. 4 is your comfort zone. And, this is a tough card, actually, in a lot of ways. Hey, Lori, nice to see you. Hey, did I see that in the world of Potter, you're Hufflepuff? Did I see that online? I am also Hufflepuff. Just saying. Okay. So, now a whole conversation on what Potter house you belong to will probably ensue. Oh, well, it's okay. Now, 4 of Swords. So 4 is stability. It's your comfort zone. You don't want to get stuck there, but it's a good place to be. But this image is so death-like. And I don't know, how many of you have ever seen physical death in this card? I have to say, once in a while it does come up that way. Not usually, but it can. The key words that I have for this card are retreat, rest, meditation, recovery, a time away, emptiness, the idea of creating an empty space. Very often, this is what is necessary for recovery. Marion is Ravenclaw. That's perfect. That's perfect for you. Okay. When we reverse it, I feel like it's about busyness. I feel like we maybe need the rest even more, or maybe we can't have rest now. We have to be busy. Disco Bunny, Kristen sees hospitalization here sometimes. Sure, that can absolutely happen. For Veronica, my meditation card. Yes, absolutely. Martha, maybe symbolic death and rebirth? It could be. I mean, if you see it that way, it sure could be. It's just, again, a very interesting transition where with the 3, I'm hurt. Here, it's time to heal. In terms of the symbolism with the window, I really do sort of see it as within a church, bringing in that concept of sacred healing, bringing in the concept of that worshipful meditation. On the other hand, if you look at the image, recognizing that Pamela Coleman Smith and A.E. Waite were in England, if you've ever been to England, there's a lot of statues, knights doing this in churches. It happens a lot. Okay. Marion, yes, I've seen death in this card, and it also came out in a reading for me that was a death. For many years, I struggled seeing past that meaning. And for me, it is the Minority Report reading. It doesn't happen very often, but once in a great while, I will look at this card in a reading and, we need to prepare for something. Now, obviously, it goes without saying, I do not recommend in most situations predicting a death in a reading. I don't think that's really what people want from us. They think they do, but they don't really. But, between we tarot readers, sometimes that is what it is. But yes, Marion, you make a good point. You got to see past that. That is not the whole or the most of what it is. And I've got this great client who has a serious meditation practice. This card comes up for her all the time to talk about her meditation practice. Samantha says this card just came up Thursday when a client was worried about a trip she was going to take. I told her, don't worry about it. Put your mind at ease. It will go well. Yeah, and, maybe you want to sleep on the plane. Seriously. Okay, so now, 4 is your comfort zone. When we get to 6, Aaron already has 2 pages of notes. That's awesome. When we get to 6 will be your place of victory. You've heard me say this before. 5, between 4 and 6 is that place where your butt is flapping in the wind. All of the 5 cards are hard because it's expansion. It's popping out of the comfort zone, which we all need to do, but we're not yet in our place of victory, and that's hard. And in the 5s, here's what it looks like. So I think we don't all agree about what's really going on in this picture. I will tell you what I see. Marion's giving Aaron a gold star. Very good. I'll tell you what I see here. Your mileage may vary. What I see is a battle. When I see this card, I say, prepare for battle. Diplomacy is not going to solve this. You can't walk away from the battle. Prepare for the battle and fight to win. Don't pull your punches here. I do not necessarily see this card as predicting a winner or a loser, but simply there will be a battle and there will be a decisive win and loss. Now, when I see it reversed, that's where I think there is room for diplomacy. There is room for negotiation. Perhaps we do not need to rattle the sabers. Perhaps we do not need to go to war. Now, here we come to our place of victory. The 6, one of my favorite cards in this suit, where we are sailing towards smoother waters. Aleister Crowley calls this the card of science. So where do you get science in this? Well, think about it. These swords, man, how do swords hang out in a boat like that? They are floating above the water. Remember that water is emotion. Swords is logic and clear thought. The way to move towards smoother waters is to place logic above emotion. Emotion is important, but logic needs to go above it. And remember what I was saying earlier about the war on science. If you put logic above emotion, there is always room for spirituality and science in the same space. Veronica says, with the 6, I love the peace of mind, even if the heart is still uneasy or hurt. Kathy says, why are they taking the swords with them? They could sink the boat. But they don't. They don't. Somehow, they have logically and scientifically arranged them in such a way that they can go forward, and the swords represent their logic, their clear thought, in order to move from the wavy, choppy water into the smooth water ahead. Now, and we know that traditionally sometimes this can be a card that predicts travel. We know that. Just because of the image. Reversed, this is where I think we get stuck in our own thinking. Often, when I see this card reversed, I'm thinking, ooh, you are not thinking logically. Let's add some logic into this equation. Let's see what we have to do in order to move forward. And very often, when this card is reversed, there is a delay or we are stuck in some way. Rosa said, I always love the 6 of Swords, but adding the Crowley influence for your interpretation makes it even better. Good, glad you like it. And honestly, you guys, we each read the cards in our own way. If there's anything I say here that doesn't work for you, that's fine. That's fine. We all have our own thoughts here. And if there's anything you'd like to throw in and add, that's fine too. Marion, could this card nod to all 4 elements? The swords, the water, the wand is the person steering the boat, the trees in the distance for earth. Oh, I love that. I love that. There's an elemental balance here. Hey, Ed, like the interpretation, logic over emotion. Very good. Conjure Knits, the swords balance out the boat so it doesn't rock. And now I'm going to have that Bob Marley song in my head for the rest of the day. Thanks for the brainworm. Okay, let's move on. So from our place of victory, there comes a place in 7 where we have to stand on our own, where we have to figure out what is true for us. And in the 7, it's really about our integrity or what we have to do to get by. It's an interesting card. It's known as the Thieves card. And we see this guy sort of sneaking away with the swords. This can be a card of dishonesty, telling you not to trust someone or something. But sometimes I do see it as a card of craftiness. Sometimes you have to do things a little bit creatively to make it work. And this can be about that. Sometimes it's the robbing from Peter to pay Paul, but you got to pay Peter back later. Sometimes it's just needing to find a way to creatively make things work. And sometimes it's not trusting yourself. So when you look at this card, you have to think about trust issues. You have to think about craftiness. Reversed, very often when it comes up reversed, there is someone or something that has been accused of lack of integrity. And this will come up reversed for me cunning. There's your word. Yes, cunning. Oh, I love it. And sometimes cunning is good, sometimes it's not, so you have to figure it out. But when it's reversed, I usually have a feeling that a person has been falsely accused. Marion says, sometimes you need to be creative with the truth. Martha, thinking outside the box. Oh, how good. How good. I love it. Veronica, social engineering. Oh, you guys are so smart. That's good stuff. Now, the problem is, if we look at this story, where's my 8? Here it is. If we look at this story that we're telling here, let's say, okay, so I got through that mess with the 6, but now I haven't really been honest with myself or others. And now with the 8, I'm really in a pickle. Lynn says 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Sure. So, all of the 8s in tarot seem to talk about motion. And in this case, we have motion impeded. Now, the blindfold here, remember the blindfold with the 2. I do see these 2 blindfolds very differently. Maybe you do too. With the 2, she's looking within. But here, I think maybe she's not seeing the truth. I think, she's tied up, she's blindfolded, and she's in a cage made of her own thoughts or her own words. Remember that swords can be thoughts or words. So maybe she lied herself into a jam, or maybe she thought herself into a jam. Very often for me, this is a card of anxiety. Do you guys see it that way? Let's see. Conjure Knits, back to the 7. He's a jokester playing a trick on someone. Could be. Absolutely. So here, do we see anxiety? Do we see we're all tied up in our thinking? We're in the paralysis of analysis, perhaps. And reversed, I feel like it's getting out of that. It's finding a new way to think or a new way to understand, or finding what you need to say to get yourself out of the jam you put yourself into. Now, if you don't manage to do that, well, things are only going to get worse. Kathy says, unable or unwilling to see the truth. Marion, anxiety or overthinking. Now, when we look at these, 8 and 9, and in numerology, 9 is like completion because there is no 10 in classic numerology. 1 plus 0 equals 1, you're back in the cycle. But tarot has a 10 that is distinctly different from the ace, although also similar. When I look at 10s and aces, I often think of the 10 as the higher octave of the ace. Show my musical background there. Roses, yes, 8 of Swords is anxiety for me, but I love seeing it as the compulsive liar. So good, so good. So here, we've got, I can't move because I'm overthinking or whatever. And here, it's even worse. The 9s in tarot aren't quite completion, but they're close. There's a fullness. In each 9, there's a real fullness. And here, we're full of insomnia, sorrow, terror, depression. Sometimes I look at these 2 cards together, and I call them the twin sisters of anxiety and depression. Camilla, bothered and bewildered, frozen in place. Marion, tied by indecision. Yes, absolutely. Which really goes back to that too, that so much of these cards can be about making decisions. And how many of us have decision-making anxiety? Even like a menu in a restaurant can delight me, but also fill me with anxiety about what the heck I'm going to order. And I don't want to have entree envy when I like the looks of your plate better than mine. Okay, so let's look at this 9. Anything from nightmares to depression to worry, upset. And the question with these higher 9 cards that you really have to look at, and actually it's not just the higher ones, even going back to the 3. Whether you're reading for yourself or reading for someone else, when you see these, clearly we're not thinking our best, we're not feeling our best. Clearly there's a problem. But what we don't know automatically is if the problem is real, imagined, or overinflated. We're dealing with that right now with the spread of coronavirus. Where's this going to go? Are we overreacting? Are we underreacting? So many questions, right? And the same thing is true when we look at these cards. If this comes up for a client, is it because something really horrible has happened in their lives? I mean, we are often the first line of defense. We will see people at our table who have just had a terrible loss or a terrible trauma. Or are they really just fine and in a place of worry that they don't need to be? Or are they in a clinical place of depression? These cards won't tell us that. We'll have to figure that out looking at other cards, talking to them, figuring it out. But these cards certainly tell us how someone is feeling and ask us to ask those questions. And says Andre Envy, you're on your game today. Thank you. I love this. Camilla, I always hear the litany against fear from Dune. Fear is the mind killer. I love that. I love that in every way, shape, and form. Gold star to you. Martha, black background. We're in the dark and we don't know what's going on. Very, very good. Yes. And so, if the 9 doesn't get you, the 10 will. And here we see fullness versus completion in the 9 and the 10. I have a friend. She does some teaching with me. You may know her, Mary Ellen Collins. She'll be presenting at StarCon along with some of the people here. What she says about this card, and I love it, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Marion, I see this at times as anxiety and grief after a flight of some sort. If you look at the carving on the side, a fight, sorry. If you look at the carving on the side of the bed, it looks like a fight. It does look like a fight. So we're upset because we've had an argument with someone. That can absolutely happen. Oh, and you know what? I didn't talk about the reversal here on the 9. Here, I feel like it's getting better. Or, where we have some worry and some upset, but it's not so bad. There's like a lessening here. These higher 9 cards, higher swords cards, I really like to see them reversed when possible. So 10. Because of the image, this can be a card that English much? A card that represents acupuncture. It can also be a card that literally talks about people who have back issues. Very often, though, it can talk about feeling stabbed in the back. I'm going to tell you a funny story. So I used to do a lot of psychic work on the radio. I'd be a guest on the morning show, would do psychic hour. People would call in and I'd give readings, right? A lot of different radio stations. Sometimes I'd actually get hired on to be the morning girl as well. Read the news, do all that stuff. So there was this one radio station where I did both. I was the morning girl and I was also the resident psychic. And I was leaving for the day and I was walking through the sales corral. And the owner of the station, who was kind of not a nice person, people did not like him. He said, Christiana, come over here. Let me pull a card to tell me if any of my employees here are stabbing me in the back. And that's just the way he would think. Like, it wasn't really funny. He was trying to be funny. But what am I going to do? He's my boss too. I shuffle the cards, let him pull one. You know what card he pulled? This one. So he took the card out of my hand and went and put it in every person's face. See, you are stabbing me in the back. You are stabbing me in the back. But what I didn't say was, it was because he really deserved it. Anyway, that's just a story from the cards. So when this comes up in a reading, if it's a future prediction, we really want to either look what we have to do to prepare, avoid, or mitigate. If it's talking about what we've been through, we have to look at what we have to do to heal. But there is always a question here. Are the things that are laying you low the product of someone's unkind words? The product of your own thoughts and beliefs? Again, how much is this a serious issue? Or how much is this allowing other people's words or your own thoughts to put you in a bad position? Now, when this card is reversed, I see improvement. Maybe things are getting better. Maybe it won't be as bad as you thought. Okay, so now we move on to the court. Now we've moved on to the court, and here, starting with the page, and someone had mentioned earlier how much they love the page. I love the page too. When I look at the Swords court, we know that they can be people. We also know they can be directives or predictions. The Page of Swords, of course, is a great student. The Page of Swords is a great writer. I love all the Swords court cards as instruction that we should write, that we should be writers, or that we should communicate. I do see all of the Swords cards as telling us to speak the truth or telling us to speak our mind. The Page of Swords can also be receiving information, receiving a message that reveals the truth. The Page of Swords can also be about going to school to learn something, maybe specifically technology, being a student of technology. Now, the Knight of Swords is the swiftest of all the knights. And sometimes he shows up. Oh, back to the 10. Lynn speaks of the 10 and says, overkill. The 10 is about overkill. I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so the Knight of Swords. Sometimes it comes up to just say, do things swiftly. Sometimes it comes up to say, pursue the truth, do your research, pursue the knowledge, pursue writing, pursue communication. Now, when these people are reversed, if they're people having a problem. Maybe the Page of Swords reversed is a bad student. Maybe this is a message that isn't going to come or that you don't know how to say. Maybe the Knight of Swords isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, or maybe things have been slowed down. Now, the Queen of Swords, the most maligned of all the queens, the most likely to be a widow, the most likely to be childless or infertile. Disco Bunny, the Knight is a tongue lashing. Oh, I love that. That makes sense. So, why is the Queen of Swords so maligned? Here's my feminist theory here. I think it's because she's a woman who speaks the truth. No one likes that, do they? But, then there's the question like, is she being a bitch? Is the Queen of Swords a bitch? I think when she's reversed, she can be. But I think when she's straight up, she just speaks the truth, and you got to deal with that. Mickey says, excellent video. Thank you. So much powerful information. 5 planets in air. There you go. Marion, does anyone know if there's a significance of the butterfly in the Knight, King, and Queen? Absolutely. It's the air element. It represents air. Because butterflies fly. Okay, the Queen of Swords comes up for Martha a lot. Are you one who speaks the truth? It's not a bad thing. But you know what else? The Queen of Swords is also a smart queen. And again, I promised I wouldn't talk about politics, but there's been this whole conversation, here I go and talk about politics. There's been a conversation with Elizabeth Warren having to drop out of the presidential race. And some people saying, well, it's because she's a smart woman and no one likes a smart woman. I present to you the Queen of Swords. There you go. Now, the Queen of Swords can also come up to say, nurture the truth. Even if it's hard, nurture the truth. Erin says she's outspoken and people don't like it, especially old men in power positions. High five, dude. Okay. Speaking of which, here comes the King of Swords. Martha says, yes, truth and bluntness. I'm also a librarian. Oh, that's perfect. Queen of Swords as a librarian. Do you love it? I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, there you go. Now, King of Swords. I have to tell you that when I look at all court cards, and I said this in the last class I did on the court cards, when I look at the court cards in their upright positions, I see them as bringing the best of their element if they're people. If they're reversed, that's when I think they're not. So like I would see the King of Swords as a really honest, decent guy who's a good communicator, who's a strong leader, who's an honest and trustworthy leader. I could see the King of Swords as a card telling us to be a leader when it comes to the truth. Reversed, we have a different story. Maybe we're looking at a dishonest man, someone who's not trustworthy. Now, I want to show you a trick. And this applies to all your minor arcana suits, but I think it's especially helpful in understanding these swords cards. We have told the story of the suit of swords from ace as the beginning all the way up where we're in our place at the end of the numbered cards where, man, this really sucks, this is hard. But then the page says, yeah, but I learned a lot. And the knight says, and I'm going to take that knowledge and go forward. And the queen says, I'm going to nurture my truth and heal. And the king says, I'm going to hold that truth to lead others with it. And it's a beautiful story, right? But you can tell the story the other way too. Have you ever received a deck of tarot cards brand new and you see that they're ordered in the other direction with the kings at the front counting down? Well, that's another way to look at it. So let's tell the story a different way. King and queen are mother and father God. Page and knight, are we their human children? The 10 is the situation into which we are born. And many people we know are born into very dire, difficult situations, aren't they? And so what do? With the 9, we take stock of that difficult situation and we say, man, this is hard. With the 8, we say, good freaking God, what am I going to do to get out of this situation? Erin said, yep, happened quite often to me. With the 7, I'm going to have to find a very creative way to work with what I've got and get out of my situation. With the 6, and here I am moving forward, but now I have to fight for everything I have, and now I have to look within and take time and rest and rejuvenate. And with the 3, I have to heal. And with the 2, I am finally empowered to make my own decisions. And with the ace, I have come to the place of truth and victory. So, there's the story of the suit of swords in both directions. There are some thoughts on how to interpret these cards, how not to fear them when we see them. Even the darkest cards in a reading help us to understand what's going on. If these cards talk about the past, Roses likes the going backward exercise. You can do that with all the suits. And please do have some fun with that. It really sort of helps us embrace the numbers and embrace the stories in a different way. And isn't tarot really all about storytelling? So when you see those dark cards in a reading, whether it's for yourself or someone else, if it's about the past, they give us an opportunity to heal. If it's about the present, it gives us an opportunity to figure out what's going on. And if it's about the future, do not be afraid. It gives us an opportunity to avoid, mitigate, or prepare. And the other cards that we pull will help us understand how to do that. So now, I would like you to take all of your 14 Swords cards and Ed liked it. Okay, cool, right? I like it too. Marion liked it too. Cool. Okay, we're coming to the end of our time. We're in our last 5 minutes. Celine liked it too. And thank you guys so much for being here with me. I really appreciate it. So as a final exercise, take your suit of swords, shuffle them well, and here's the question. What do I need to do to more efficiently and beneficially embrace and communicate my own truth? How can I better communicate, understand and communicate my own truth? Oh, understand and communicate, maybe those are two things. Maybe this is a 2-card exercise. I was going to say, let's just do 1 card, but now I'm inspired. 2 cards. How can I understand my own truth? How can I communicate my own truth? Okay, go ahead and do it. Is there a tie to the Justice card with the swords? Good question. Yes. Justice is related to Libra, which is an air sign, so Justice is an air card too. Okay, very good. Rosa said the same thing. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so 2 cards. How can I better understand my truth? How can I better communicate my truth? Go ahead and share what you got here. I'll share mine. We can even stick around for a couple extra minutes and go through some interpretations if you like. Okay, how can I better understand my truth? 6 of Swords, to always come to it logically. It makes sense. I'm a Scorpio. I'm emotional. I get emotional about things. I need to always bear this card in mind. To understand my truth, I need to do it logically, not emotionally. Fair. How can I better communicate my truth? Ooh, Ace of Swords, just do it, baby. And, you know, this is another card that I think encourages writing. So, to write about my truth, which I like to do. Okay, Celine, 5 and 2. So you have to fight with yourself to see your truth, don't you? You lie to yourself, maybe to the good or maybe to the bad. You know, we can do it either way, but you need to fight to see your truth. And then you're going to have to make peace with your truth and decide what is really true before you can communicate it, Celine. Okay, Marion, the 6 and the 4. So you were like me. I got the 6 there too. We have to be more logical in our thinking to understand our truth. And the 4, Marion, you got to meditate with it for a while before you communicate it. Martha, to understand the 2 of Swords, don't try to make decisions about it. Just be at peace with trying to find balance and communicate the 5 of Swords. Oh, Martha, the librarian, you've got to say the truth even when it hurts. We knew that about you. Kathy, the 4, to find your truth, you need to meditate and look within. And the King, Kathy Jones, you must be a leader in speaking the truth. Aaron, to understand the truth, the Ace, Just know that it's there. Hold it and contemplate it. Veronica, the 7 and the 6. Veronica, you got to spend some time figuring out what is true and not lying to yourself. The 6, get used to putting your logic above emotion and communicate that to others. Rosa's the 9 and the 3. Man, you may have some things you got to work out. That's okay. It's an opportunity for healing, but there may be some personal truths you are really sorting out. It may be that when you were growing up, you were taught things that weren't true, and it may be that you are holding on to some stories about yourself or about life that are not true. The Suit of Swords gives us the opportunity to correct that. We all lie to ourselves, and we all hang on to stories that aren't true. Haven't you noticed that as tarot readers, that half of what we have to do is help other people see their stories more clearly? So often people come into my office right here to sit at that table, and the stories they tell about their lives and about themselves are so negative and maybe in a way factually true, but maybe not even that. And we can help them see their stories in a way that empower them. And I think, Roses, that's what you need to do for yourself. Martha says, thanks for your taking my cards. If I can't speak the truth, it's painful going through a situation with that right now. Sure. Disco Bunny, understand the 8 reversed. Have more freedom in my thoughts. Let myself 3. Communicate the 9 reversed. Yeah. What's that expression? Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Even if it's something you're afraid to say or don't want to say, you have to say it. Aaron, communicate 3. So you may have to communicate some hurtful things. Obviously, try to do it in a nice way, but you may have to still communicate it. Gypsy Jade, Page and Knight. So you really need to study your truth, and then you need to communicate it swiftly. Very good. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching an archive, please do the exercise. Go ahead and share it. We thank you so much for being here. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're on Facebook, I'd love to be friends with you. Christiana C. Gaudet. You can like my business page, Christiana Gaudet. I do a lot of lives there. So do that. And join my group, Global Tarot Circle. We meet once a month. For a more informal webinar where we do a bunch of readings. It's a lot of fun. Next time we're here for a live webinar is April 16th, same time, 10:30 a.m. my time, New York time, Miami time, wherever that is for you. And next time we are doing the incredible, versatile 2-card spread. It's funny because we ended here with a 2-card spread. I didn't think we were gonna, but we did. There's a lesson in using intuition to let you ask your questions. Marion, remember to hit the like button, folks. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. Like this video, please, and subscribe to my channel. I thank you so much. Gypsy has asked me to do this with all the suits. What do you guys think? Should I? I don't see any reason why we couldn't. So the next 2 workshops are about spreads. The next one's going to be reversals, and then maybe we'll go through the suits. That gets us through half the year. Hey, you guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks to those who are watching in archive. Oh, see, there's more love for doing the other suits, and so we shall. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Let me just do a little bit of self-promotion, if you don't mind. I am available wherever you are in the world. I am available for readings by phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger. If you happen to be local, right here in my Palm City, Florida office. I also do mentoring. Wherever you are in your tarot journey, I can help you get to the next level, whether that's understanding the cards, your tarot business, or your own personal growth and healing using tarot. If you've never been to my website, ChristianaGaudet.com has a lot of great information for you. You can also subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Tarot Topics. So go there, ChristianaGaudet.com. I want to thank you guys so much. Take care. Oh, and you can get my books on Amazon. Don't forget that. My books, Fortune Stellar and Tarot Tour Guide, order them directly from Amazon or Ingram Spark. Thank you so much. Take really good care. I will look forward to seeing you.